completely satisfied, however. I wonder about what psychological changes would be observable in an enlightened person. What, for example, would a psychologist be able to determine or measure?
Kundalini is the purifying agent of the body and the mind. The most important psychological changes in the character of an enlightened person would be that he would be compassionate, he would be more detached, he would be with less ego, he would not have violence or aggression or falsehood. That is, Kundalini is the mother of morality. All morality springs from Kundalini. Since the very beginning, it is the evolutionary energy that has created the concept of morals in human beings. It is not an expediency of our social structure that is responsible for morals. It is the activity of Kundalini. Kundalini is the guardian of the morals. Therefore, when it is awakened, its first effort is to clean the mind of evil desires and passions, of anger, of malice, of envy, of jealousy, even of excessive ambition and excessive desire.
You're saying there is a biological basis for morals and values and virtues.
Definitely. It is a part of human evolution, and it is being done by Kundalini. I feel tremendous changes in myself, which I cannot account for to my own actions. They have been made, they have been caused by the process of remodeling that has been going on in my body. And now if we for a moment look at the lives of the great mystics of the past, the prophets like Christ and Buddha and Shankaracharya, Vyasa or Muhammad, we find evidence of this in their own lives. A desire to speak the truth, a desire to speak mankind, unbounded love, compassion, mercy, charity, this you will find in all of them. In fact, Kundalini is the storehouse of all the virtues. If Kundalini were to go wrong, man may become highly intelligent, much more than he is now, but he can also become a monster.
If Kundalini
goes wrong,
yes,
it can create, she can create, this goddess as they call it, can create mankind, make it highly intelligent. But
genius.
Beg pardon?
Genius, but an evil genius?
Highly intelligent geniuses, but monsters in their action. And it is possible in the cosmos there might be such species, monstrous species, highly intelligent. This possibility is not ruled out. Which are also sometimes, of which visions have been had, and they are mentioned in the mythological lore of India. Evil beings who are highly intelligent, have great prowess, are skilled with everything, but they are evildoers, they are monsters. So, if man were to depend on his own efforts to create a moral race, to create a race of human beings who are highly moral, it can never succeed. And we see, and it is proved by the doings of the 20th century. There have never been massacres in history as there have been in the 20th century. Imagine 6 million people massacred in Germany, perhaps 5 million people when there was the communal riots and communal clashes in India at the time of the partition. 3 million people in Pakistan now, and it is said 125 million people in Russia during these years. And who knows how many in Vietnam and other massacres. 20th century, at the height of our intellectual powers, mankind has been the bloodiest in history. It is only the grace of Kundalini, the grace of this energy, this Holy Spirit, which is the guardian of our evolution. It is through her grace only that mankind can progress spiritually and morally. This is the reason why in all the revealed scriptures of mankind, in the Quran, in the Bible, in the Bhagavad Gita, and in the discourses of Buddha, such a great emphasis is laid on worship and submission and constant meditation on the divine power. Because for the moral progress of mankind, it is absolutely necessary that this divine power should be benign. No amount of learning, no amount of training, no amount of research on the lines of intellect can make mankind more merciful, more charitable, more loving, more elevated, more noble, except the purificatory processes of Kundalini. Therefore, in the enlightened, there is always a change from the gross to the refined, from the animal passions to the ideas of divine beings. They have other concepts, other thoughts, other ideals, and all that they have given to the world, it shows the ideals that they had before their eyes. They are always giving to mankind their heart's blood, and they suffered in the process, every one of them, including Buddha, and served mankind to uplift her, because they knew that no other channel is open to man to reform himself and to reach to higher dimensions of consciousness or higher levels of morality except through the grace of heaven. And the grace of heaven is Kundalini.
Now you have described a person whom most would say is a saintly person, and you are calling this person enlightened. So if I understand you, then you're saying the qualities of a saint are part of what an enlightened person is. But what about creativity and what about genius? Are these characteristics, do they differ? How does a genius, for example, differ from an enlightened person?
You see, here you have to take into account the human mind and the human personality in its normal sphere. What do we find? We find that some people are saintly, some are more evil, some are more selfish, some are highly intelligent, some are less intelligent, some are geniuses. Now let us suppose that one of these persons becomes enlightened. The attempt of Kundalini as the illuminating energy will be to refashion the brain and the mind of this man so that he conforms to the model of the Superman. I mean, he is highly intelligent, he is a genius, he is compassionate, he has the virtues of all the great prophets that have appeared in history. But since human beings are not alike, some have one frailty, some have another. Therefore, even in the enlightened stage, our culture, our state of the body and our state of the mind also plays some part. It may not be possible for the remodeling processes to create a perfect man who is a genius, who is enlightened, who is compassionate entirely, who is entirely loving, and who has all the virtues of a illuminati. There might be differences in one aspect or the other. We have to say that the same evolutionary energy in bringing man up from the sub-man or from the animal has not created one single pattern, but there are different varieties of people. The same holds true when we go into the next higher stage. It will not be a uniform class of men, just exactly duplicates of one another. There will be variations. In different, some may be more illuminated, some may be better geniuses, some may be more loving, so there will be differences. But decidedly, the enlightened man would be superior to the normal man.
Gopi Krishna, you speak of the Kundalini process using terms that seem to apply only to the masculine sex. You have spoken of seminal fluid and the erection of the male organ during this process. Is this an experience that is closed to women, or does the Kundalini process apply to both sexes?
It is a parallel process. In the case of males, there is the phallus, which is erect. In the case of the women, there is the activity of the vagina and the organ of generation, the same activity as we can see when they are in actual sexual congress with a man. And also the inner orgasm is the same. This I have verified in at least 3 cases of women. There are internal orgasms, the generative organs are in a state of excitement, tumescence, as in the case of man during the process. And in fact, in one case, the lady was even ashamed to tell me. She said, "Can this be the way to God? As you are saying, I am experiencing most abominable sensations inside." I said, "What are the sensations?" She said, "I can't even speak of them. They are the usual sensations associated with it." I said, "That is the way to God. You are on the right way." It is the same thing happens in the I have verified in 3 full cases. And this girl who came to me from California, I put her the question, "What did you experience inwardly?" She at once said. I said, "You are right." Although I have not mentioned it in my book, but she at once said it, and then I could see that it was a genuine case. So, in the women also, the same thing has happened. I am referring to man because now it is not always possible to use both the sexes together, since their reproductive mechanisms are a bit different. So I take one sex, the other we can presume has the same kind of symptoms in a parallel way.